The birth of the United Nations. The destruction caused by the two world wars set many people thinking. The resources wasted in war could have been used for the progress and prosperity of the world. It was this thought that gave birth to the United Nations organization called the UNO.
The birth of the United Nations organization. The First World War, 1914 to 1918, started in Europe as a result of increasing enmity between the industrialized nations. Countless soldiers and other people were killed or wounded. The war caused a lot of misery, bloodshed, and destruction across the world. Some nations discussed a need for worldwide peace and thus came together to form the League of Nations in 1919. Despite this, the Second World War broke out in 1939 and caused even more damage and destruction. After the war, some nations again came together to form a world organization which would help in preventing any more wars in future. This was how the United Nations organization was formed on the 24th October 1945. A set of rules called the Charter of the United Nations Organization was signed by 50 member countries, including India. It listed the aims, objectives, and principles of the organization to address important world issues and promote world peace. Today, 193 countries are members of the United Nations organization. The UN headquarters are in New York, USA. The United Nations aims to maintain peace and security in the world by developing friendly relations among all countries and by helping to solve disputes in a peaceful manner. It also tackles important issues facing the world such as climate change, human rights, terrorism, natural calamities, and gender inequality, among others. Main objectives of the UN.
The main purposes of the United Nations as defined in the UN Charter, Article 1, are as follows. 1. To maintain international peace and security. The UN aims to intervene and prevent wars and ensure cooperation, peace, and brotherhood between countries. 2. To develop friendly relations among nations. The United Nations stands for human rights and freedom for all. All the member nations have to develop and encourage measures that fulfill this aim. 3. To achieve international cooperation. To help nations work together to improve the lives of poor people, to conquer hunger, disease, and illiteracy, and to encourage respect for each other's rights and freedoms. 4. To be a center for harmonizing the actions of the nations to achieve these goals. The UN acts as a common international organization that works towards peace and harmony in the world. It also aims to promote overall progress and development of member nations in economic, social, and cultural spheres.
Main organs of the UN. The main organs of the UN are the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, the Secretariat, the Trusteeship Council, and the International Court of Justice. General Assembly. The General Assembly is the main policy-making and representative organ of the United Nations. All the 193 members of the UN are represented in the General Assembly. Every member country has one vote and puts forth its views, ideas, and opinions. It meets once a year to take important decisions and make recommendations to the member countries. The General Assembly handles important issues such as peace and security, admission of new members, and granting financial help to the nations. Security Council. The Security Council has the primary responsibility of maintaining international peace and security.
The Council has a total of 15 members, with each having one vote. 5 permanent members of the Security Council are Britain, China, France, Russia, and USA. The other 10 members are temporary members who are elected for a term of 2 years. The Secretariat. It is the chief administrative office of the UN. At its head is the Secretary General, who is appointed by the General Assembly on the recommendation of the Security Council for a 5-year renewable term. It also comprises a staff of international civil servants, which is appointed by the Secretary General. The Secretariat supervises and coordinates the functioning of the UN.
The Economic and Social Council. The Council works towards the social and economic progress and development at a worldwide level. It deals with issues such as hunger, poverty, illiteracy, famine, etc. The Economic and Social Council works hand in hand with the other bodies of the UNO, such as World Bank, WB, and International Monetary Fund, IMF, for economic issues. Major agencies of the UN. The United Nations operates through different agencies. These agencies primarily work towards the social and economic development of developing nations. Some of these agencies are UNICEF. The United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund was established in 1946.
It works to meet the food, health, and educational needs of children and women in developing countries.
WHO. Established on 7th April 1948, the World Health Organization (WHO) works towards fighting various diseases and improvement of health and sanitation facilities. The WHO was instrumental in eradicating smallpox and is actively working towards the same for diseases such as polio, malaria, and tuberculosis in many developing countries.
Food and Agricultural Organization, that is, FAO. It was established on 16th October 1945. Its headquarters are in Rome, Italy. The FAO works in the field of seed development, controlling spread of diseases in crops and animals, and spreading awareness about improved irrigation techniques and conservation of soil and forests. It also provides expertise and assistance during epidemics and other natural calamities. United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, that is, UNESCO. The UNESCO works largely towards establishing peace and sustainable development across countries by using education, science and culture. It conducts major programs in the fields of social sciences, human sciences, culture, communication and education. The UNESCO was formed on 4th November 1946 and is headquartered in Paris, France.
ILO. The International Labour Organization (ILO) works towards providing better standards and fair working conditions for people all over the world. India's role in the UNO. India has been a member state of the United Nations organization right since its inception. It has supported the UNO peacekeeping forces on different missions to Sri Lanka, Korea, Indochina, DRC, Zaire, etc. The UNO agencies work hand in hand with the Government of India to achieve common goals of active progress and development in a humane way. UNICEF supports the Government of India's Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan to ensure greater access to education, enrollment and improved learning outcomes for the most marginalized groups of children. India has been receiving valuable assistance from the UNO bodies like the World Bank, Food and Agriculture Organization, and the World Health Organization.